What a happy time.
Yeah.
Well,
You see that picture there in the corner there? It's Doris when she was like 20 years old. Beautiful picture.
Had you seen the album? What?
No, but these are pictures I sent.
that's nice.
Larry Brandt is a friend of Dad's and Mom's from way before they got married.
Brooklyn.
So Larry says, Ken and 3 or 4 others, including me, I asked him for anecdotes, swam in the Narrows of New York Harbor. The area was very close to the Staten Island ferry slip at the foot of 69th Street. There were 3 old wooden hulks that had been filled with cement and rested on the bottom. So Ken would wrap the cigarettes in something waterproof, and we swam the short distance and then sunbathed on the wooden decks. In the 1930s, the harbor was filled with raw sewage. Lucky he didn't catch some terrible disease. Probably because we didn't swim there on a regular basis. It was too dirty. One New Year's Eve, we headed for Never Rest in Ken's auto and mine. Some gals, including Doris, I believe, some guys, and Mr. and Mrs. Olson. It was a big mistake. 4 feet of snow at Shokan and bitterly cold. Some went ice skating after shoveling pathways down to ice on a pond. And I, unfortunately, hit Shirley in the eye with a snowball. What a careless jerk I was. And to top it off, Ken slid on icy streets in Poughkeepsie on the way up and got a police citation for denting a parked automobile. And then finally, Cora and I had the pleasure of being invited for a visit with others from the gang to Ken and Doris's first house. It was 1948, and we drove up from McGuire Air Force Base in New Jersey, and they were so proud to be homeowners instead of renters. But it was out in the country to a Bay Ridge, Brooklyn fellow like me. It was located in Queens, you think. There. I believe. Anyway, we met a youngster for the first time who, when asked, called herself Suzanne.
Suzanne.
You were about 2 years old. Oh, and he says about the old gang. He says, let's see. I've included some pictures of Ken and Doris along with other members of the gang. Not, I assure you, like the gangs of today. We were not vicious or mean-spirited, more like the gang mentioned in the oldie song, "Those wedding bells are breaking up that old gang of mine." And as I remember, the guys and gals didn't badmouth anyone, but we did hoist a few and patronize the local Saturday night dances, especially those in Henry Carlson's Roadhouse in Shokan. Okay. And Henry Peters. Says, fortunately, the picture holds about all the Olsons except the picture taken. And then he writes a little bit more.
You didn't take these pictures?
Huh? They're your pictures. Well, some of them are. No, they're not yours. They're yours now.
Sally, you married in too.
Let me read you what Kenny John says. 50, Kenny John, 50 years, wow! Then I think, well, we've been married for 30 this August. Time is very deceiving. Really, the only time we spent together was at Lake Saginaw, but that was quite a few summers. The smell of burning bacon is the first memory to come to mind. Aunt Doris always seemed to have a problem getting it out of the pan before the smoke started. Nellie Bell, the 41 Plymouth that always had to make it up that big hill one more time. Also, the nights I went out with your dad to look at stars. He would tell me about the constellations over and over, but it never really registered. My memory says, though, that it was time well spent. And I do recall 2 different dinners at the house you built at the end of Signal Hill. Once we were all in the living room having cocktails, and Fritz was in the kitchen eating roast beef. The other time we were in the dining room eating, and the parakeet was in the living room having cocktails.
Yeah, we used to love
found her right dead on one of the glasses.
Oh boy. The parakeet died.
The 57 27 Buick with the leather seats was a car to die for. And then all the sobs. I remember 12-foot sunflowers in the front yard, and the panic you caused, I think meaning me, coming down the hill partway in a wagon, partway on your knee. The summer or summers building the screen house, collecting rocks for the foundation, went on for a long time. The cement was poured, the building went up, but I don't recall any screens that were going on. There were campfires quite often in front of the screen house. Marshmallows, hot dogs, corn on the cob, Mickey's, the potatoes with a half-inch of charcoal on the outside, and all the food experiments with those pop-open handles that you put a slice of bread on each side, stuff in the middle, and close it, cook it over the fire until it's perfect. One last thing is you never teased Grandpa if the Dodgers lost. Being a Yankee fan, I was never very good at that. Mostly it was very good times and places to spend summers. If there were bad times, I don't remember them, just a lot of love and laughing. Hope all goes well. Thanks for this opportunity. Sorry we don't have any pictures. P.S. Ask your mom about that bacon thing. And now I can follow that one up with Ralph, because Ralph has got a lot of the same memories. Ralph says, there are several things that come to mind when I remember Aunt Doris and Uncle Ken from early days to now. Early on were the summer houses in Sparta. They had the house on the other side of the screen house. I don't remember any screens. It was a house for card games, food, and Monopoly games that went on for days. And then they built on the lot across the street and lived there year-round. It was a different kind of house in those days that had a stone flat roof and split levels. And there was a miniature version of it in the screen house rafters. A miniature version of your house.
Oh, yeah.
The added feature was a beaver pond with apple-eating beavers a short walk behind the house. Uncle Ken showed me how to feed them. You never showed me, Dad. But I did break up the dams. The house in Seven Hills took forever to get to, and the only entertainment on the trip was driving through a mountain or two. But once we got there, things would pick up again. They had apples and a barn and Fritz. Fritz could wiggle his body more than most dogs could wiggle a tail. And that was good because he didn't have much tail to wag. I also remember a barn and a two-tone Buick with holes in the fender that didn't go anywhere. Why did Uncle Ken have holes in both fenders? Later in life, Uncle Ken got me a summer job in Connecticut. And this is where he taught me how to play golf. He must have had a lot of patience. But he did make his swings look really good in comparison. Uncle Ken was always helping me out. When Deborah and I went on our first date, Uncle Ken was there. The Holly Inn South, margaritas, Ralph, Deborah, Uncle Kenny, and good times. For those of us that remember, just kidding, dear. Thanks to both of you for being who you are. It's always been a pleasure being with you. Enjoy your anniversary and everyone there with you. Love, Ralph. You want to read? No. I'm talking to Linda. And we got show the picture, Mom, of you guys with Cheryl, Larry, Strauss.
Oh, yeah. That was the Strauss Waltz.
Yeah, show that.
I'll leave it on the table.
Here's a picture of them.
Gloria.
And Gloria and Frank.
Where was
Cheryl and Larry.
Where was Strauss Waltz? Oh, the winder.
Yeah. So Cheryl says,
Down in the front.
Cheryl says, Craig went to the Hilltop Montessori School from age 2.5 to 4th grade, when we went to Finland. I was involved in some of the school's fundraising events, one of which was the annual Strauss Ball. I loved this event and managed to persuade Larry to go 2 years in a row. The event was somewhat formal. Most of the women wore gowns, and the orchestra played Strauss waltzes all night. I loved having an excuse to make something new on my sewing machine. And I remember making Aunt Doris's gown, and my gown especially for the ball. Aunt Doris's dress was a satin charmeuse print, and it had a short jacket. I remember having a little trouble with the sleeves of the jacket, but eventually everything worked out all right, and she looked lovely in the gown. My gown was a slate blue Kiana knit, and I made a long matching scarf which I wore around my neck with a big turquoise feather. My mom wore a three-piece mint green knit pantsuit, which I made for her as a gift the previous Christmas. I remember we all had a wonderful time, and it's good to be with my family as well as the friends I made through Hilltop Montessori School. I don't have time to sew anymore. When I do sew a button on, I struggle to thread the needle because my eyes aren't what they used to be. I remember my other life when I was a homemaker and a sewer, and I had the great company and comfort of my Aunt Doris and Uncle Kenny nearby. Since my parents were farther away, Aunt Doris acted like a surrogate mother, and she was always available to babysit Craig or listen to a problem. Uncle Kenny, in his mild-mannered way, was always there if you needed advice on home repairs. I remember him helping us put a roof on our garage in 90-degree weather. I miss them both and love them very much. To be followed by Ellen. Dear Aunt Doris and Uncle Kenny, we're so sorry we can't share this special day with you, but we do share many great memories and happy times. Thursday, June 22nd, we will be married 20 years. After looking through 300 albums, we found a picture of Uncle Kenny and Martin at our wedding. I remember Uncle Kenny telling me right after the ceremony that he hoped we would be as happy as he was before he got married. Whoops, just kidding. As happy as he and Aunt Doris had been after the years. We were wondering, did Cheryl make Uncle Kenny's pants too? The other picture that she put in here is at Mom and Dad's Elsie and Chum's 50th. What a wonderful picture. Please add it to your memory. Aunt Doris, you still make the best cheesecake I ever did taste. You are two of the gentlest, kindest, and loving people we know. Martin and Ellen. Moving right along. Liv. Ken and Doris. This is from Lynn, Aunt Millie's oldest. Some of my earliest memories are of your house in Merrick, Long Island, Goldfish Pond in your backyard. Doris was pregnant with Linda. And Sparta. It was so nice to have family nearby, especially when I was ill and Doris took John to play with Roger every day while Nana took care of me and the girls went to stay with Mom and Janet. We have so many good memories of visits with you, and it's fun to visit with Susan and Linda and Roger and their families now they're all grown up. So have a wonderful day and see you in August. Yeah. And we got some from Janet here, and she wishes you the best. And I don't want to miss it. That's it. Unless you got something you were going to say.
For me?
Yeah. And Millie was sharing all these memories with me on the phone the other day.
Well, one of them is when Doris and Ken and George and I went down to Philadelphia to visit Lou and Al. And we had a very nice day there, and just as we were leaving, Lou said, Doris and I laughed all the way home. Little did we know. So we could have a last laugh.
Because then there was rock.
Because that year, I remember Lou had me, and Doris and Ken had Roger, and I had Tony. We'll teach you to laugh.
Teach you that you never Oh, Rachel. Oh, you saw it again.
Into the poem to get going. I'm like, what button do I press?
Is that rain that's dropping my head out?
Yes. Yeah, no, it's a huge flock of birds. Oh, I thought you were making a little statue there.
Oh no, you're out of the way.
We gotta move it back. It's your table.
Gotta move to the other table.